So hello guys, and welcome to another discussion video. And this last Direct did something pretty interesting with Mario games. Like, there were a ton of Mario announcements, and there's a certain thing, a certain aspect of the Mario franchise, kind of a theory that people have been discussing following this Direct. And that is the Mario mandates. So basically, this theory, I mean, it's not entirely a theory, because I do feel like it did impact the franchise at some point, but I don't really think it does anymore. And basically, the mandates were an idea that the Mario franchise has to meet these strict decisions. I mean, it definitely is understandable that the Mario series has had a certain standard over the years. Like, ever since the GameCube era especially, like, character designs have mostly stayed the same. And I feel like there still kind of is a standard in place, though I don't think it's very strict during the Switch era. So basically, this theory, this idea of the Mario mandates, is the fact that there's very heavy character restrictions. Like, Toads have to have the same gender, no facial hair, no elderly Toads, mostly the same design. Sometimes there can be outfits, but they can't be too unique. They have to be very, like, bare bones in how the outfits look overall. Other Mario species can't get significant redesigns, like certain things like that. Like, by this theory, you couldn't see things like Goombella from Paper Mario, or, different things like that. And another aspect of it is that there can't be, like, new species or new characters that fit in with the Mario universe. So, yeah, the mandates theory has been kind of circling the Mario fandom, like, for many years now. I would say it kind of spiraled out more around 2020 when Origami King released. Because Origami King, I mean, that was definitely held back by restrictions, and I'll get into that in a little bit, because the Paper Mario series is definitely an interesting case. But I feel like this idea of mandates existing has existed for, like, a decade now. And I would say between 2011 and 2016 to 2018, I do feel like there might have actually been some sort of mandate or strict standard in place. But ever since Super Mario Odyssey and Mario Plus Rabbids around the beginning of the Switch era, I don't really think there has been any sort of mandate or any sort of strict restriction putting the series in a certain place where it can't really have creative decisions or unique designs and certain things like that. And yeah, but I feel like there are a lot of people still arguing the fact that these mandates, these very strict character mandates, still exist in the Mario franchise. And with this Direct, with these new Mario games that were revealed, I feel like it kind of pushes us farther away from those mandates. Like, Super Mario RPG is, like, it keeps all of the original characters, all of the original Toads, and, like, with most recent Mario games, they have been branching out in terms of character designs and everything, and that's why I feel like the mandates were kind of dead after 2016. Like Super Mario Odyssey, we got a ton of unique characters. That's one of the most unique Mario games out there, well, at least so far. I mean, there's one coming up soon that I'll discuss in a little bit. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, very unique. Luigi's Mansion 3 also has the portrait ghosts back, and a lot of unique characters there as well. The Mario sports games, a lot of characters that fit in with the Mario universe. So yeah, around the beginning of the Switch era, there weren't really any strict mandates. Like, since then, it's mostly been open to very original character designs and things. And this Direct kind of, I feel like it put the nail in the coffin for the Mario mandates theory, like not existing, or like basically the end of this theory, basically, because unique Toads can exist in the modern 3D style. I have seen the argument that Super Mario RPG is a remake But I feel like that doesn't really disprove the fact that there aren't mandates, because the Mario and Luigi remakes from 2017 and 2019 respectively, they had somewhat of a restriction on the Toads. Most of the Toads in that game, or those two games, were actually kind of changed. And I don't want to say, like, the Mario and Luigi remakes aren't bad at all. I would say that they're fairly good remakes. But I would say the only criticism that I have with them is the fact that they do change some of these character designs. I will give them credit for keeping a lot of the original character designs, especially in Superstar Saga, where they keep, like, a lot of the, Bean Kingdom characters intact, and I mean, it makes sense to keep them intact, but there are some Toads that were changed. But in the Mario RPG remake, there weren't any Toads that were altered to make them more generic. Like, the generic Toads stay the same. I mean, there were always some generic Toads in the original Mario RPG, but there were female Toads, there were Toads wearing different outfits, a Toad with a mustache from the original Mario RPG that stayed the same, and were kind of recreated in that 3D style. So, yeah, even though it's a remake, it kind of goes to show that there are less restrictions and not an overarching, completely strict mandate in place. And then Super Mario Wonder is another case as well. And I know a lot of people are making the argument that it's a first-party Mario game. It's like a part of the core franchise. I mean, like, I feel like that's a lot of people's justification for why it can be so unique. But for a while, the core Mario franchise kind of, well, at least 3D Land, New Super Mario Bros. 2 and U, were kind of generic. And 3D World started to kind of, make things more original, but especially Super Mario Odyssey and now Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I don't really feel like that's a separate case, because I don't know why they would restrict second-party studios if they're allowed to make something, like, very interesting and weird with the main games. I don't know why they would take a risk. They would not take the risk and stay safe with a game that wouldn't even sell as well as, like, the main games. I don't think that doesn't really make any sense to restrict, like, these spin-offs more than the main games. Like, so it's kind of weird that, like, Super Mario Bros. Wonder shouldn't count as something that's kind of helping the franchise be more unique and kind of break away from that mandates idea overall. And even in that Super Mario Bros. Wonder game, there was a Toad-like character in there. I know it probably is a new species and everything. I think it's kind of going along with that flower theme, because it kind of looks like a flower bud, that character, but it does kind of look like a Toad. But it does kind of break that one theory that there can't be unique characters in the Mario universe. And that specific theory kind of goes along with an interview that Tadabe had after the release of Origami King, where he said that ever since Paper Mario's Sticker Star, there can't be unique designs within the Mario style. That's why in Origami King, a lot of those there's, like, new characters and original characters aren't in the style of the rest of the characters in the game, like the regular Mario characters and everything. They're all, like, the original characters are all in 3D and everything. And with Paper Mario, that's definitely one game that people point to, or one franchise that people point to when they talk about the Mario mandates. And I would say, for that series specifically, that does have some sort of mandate or restriction. The Paper Mario series, after 2016, is definitely an exception to the rule at this point. There is definitely something weird going on there, because that's the only game where they're actively saying that there's something holding them back. Like, with all of these other Mario spin-offs and even mainline Mario games on the Switch, there aren't really any indications that they're being held back at all, and there's a lot of evidence that they're not being held back. Like I said in the past two examples with the Super Mario RPG remake and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. With Paper Mario The Origami King, that game specifically had some restrictions behind it. Even though it did have some creative and interesting ideas, they kind of felt like they were loopholes and weren't really entirely connected to the Mario universe and kind of fully implemented into the game. Like I mentioned before, the character, like a lot of those original characters aren't in the style of the rest of the Mario characters, which is weird. And yeah, and then like with different Toads and things, there's like they can only wear different outfits. There can't be different sizes of Toads, there can't be different genders, there can't be older Toads, there can't be like Toads that are too young and everything. So yeah, I think it's kind of weird that Origami King has to have these loopholes in different things, and I feel like the NPCs in Origami King are also kind of restricted as well. Like, there's mostly only Toads, though there are, like, some other Mario species, but they're, like, few and far between. I did appreciate that Origami King started to implement some friendly characters within, like, the Mario enemy species. Like, different things, like you could find, like, a Goomba, or a Koopa, or a Spiny just walking around, or a Ninja, something like that, just walking around. I appreciated that. I wish there was more of that in Origami King. But as it stands now, I feel like the Paper Mario series is really the only series that is being held back by any type of restrictions and things. Everything that Tanabe mentioned in the interviews, either from Sticker Star, Color Splash, or Origami King, isn't really the case outside of the Paper Mario series. Like I said, like there's many characters that are within the Mario style that are completely unique and original, like in the Mario Golf, in Mario Tennis series, for examples, in Aces and Super Rush. There's a bunch of original bosses that have completely unique designs that are in the Mario style. And then Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario Bros. Wonder have many unique characters and enemies that are in the Mario style. And yeah, it just keeps going on, like Luigi's Mansion 3. I know some people have made the argument that the Portrait Ghosts in that game aren't in the same style of the Mario universe, but Portrait Ghosts have existed since the original Luigi's Mansion, and they definitely are a part of the Mario universe. They're canon to the Mario universe, so I don't really see why they aren't a part of that. Like, the style only differs slightly between the Mario characters and the Portrait Ghost, or the, not necessarily Portrait Ghost, but the, kind of like the ghosts that are kind of interactive, or the bosses in, Luigi's Mansion 3. So, yeah, I don't really think that game has many loopholes. And then Mario Strikers Battle League, as lackluster as that game is, that game allowed the Mario characters to kind of go out of their usual style. And I mean, I guess Aces and Super Rush also had them in different outfits, but you could customize their gear. They had them go into these unique environments and different things, kind of like the older Mario Strikers games. Again, Battle League is kind of lackluster compared to the older Mario Strikers games, and I don't really like it that much, aside from the gameplay, but they're really, like, I mean, that game really isn't held back. The only thing that it's held back in is the content. Other than that, I would say the design of the game and the aesthetic and the presentation of the game necessarily isn't held back. But yeah, so yeah, I feel like the Mario mandates overall really haven't existed in the Switch era. And another thing that people have been doing, and I kind of mentioned this with a previous case with Luigi's Mansion 3, it is the fact that people make excuses whenever things happen. Like I mentioned before, Luigi's Mansion 3, people said it was loopholes, which is it wasn't doing the same thing that Origami King was, because they were actually implemented into the world and everything. Mario RPG, people say it's just a remake, so it doesn't count. But like I said before, the Mario and Luigi remakes kind of held back a lot of characters, but this isn't. And then another one that I didn't mention earlier is Mario plus Rabbids, Kingdom Battle, and Sparks of Hope. People say that those games don't really include that many Mario characters and isn't published by Nintendo, so that can't be restricted. But I feel like the thing is, with the Mario plus Rabbids series, they still had to get permission from Nintendo in order to kind of adapt these Mario characters in a game. I don't really think they could just do whatever they want and everything with the Mario plus Rabbids games. But that being said, they still had a decent amount of Mario characters in those games, and they were still kind of having the Mario characters go into a unique environment and literally modifying the Mario characters to be into these Rabbids or these kind of Mario Rabbids hybrids. That completely contradicts that one Mario character, well, not necessarily a theory, because it does apply to the Paper Mario series, but that one kind of pillar of the Mario mandates, where characters can't have, like, unique designs or unique, or kind of modified designs and things like that. I feel like the Mario plus Rabbids series has been modifying a lot of characters, and I don't really feel like the fact that it wasn't published by Nintendo doesn't really make it an exception. I feel like it still is in with the Mario franchise. They're using these Mario characters, so it should definitely count. But yeah, I feel like that Mario mandates theory, just overall, I feel like it's kind of exhausting overall. I originally believed in it back around the time that Mario Party Superstars was releasing, but now it doesn't really feel like it's that big of a deal. Like, a lot of these newer games clearly aren't conforming with strict mandates, especially because a lot of these newer games have a very different design for Mario and the other characters. I mean, they obviously do still look similar to Mario's modern design, but they actually kind of change it up a little bit, especially with Super Mario RPG and then Super Mario Bros. Wonder. But yeah, I don't really think there are any, like, strict standards over the franchise. There obviously are still some base standards, but I don't really think it's bringing down many of the games. The only game that really is strictly mandated is Paper Mario. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And make sure to check out my Discord server if you want to. Goodbye.